Hey there guys, how's it going? I am the Cyclist Vlogger and this is my review of Stage 2 of the Tour de France. Here we can see the map of Stage 2 and then the profile. They went from St. Louis to Scherenberg and Cotentin. I'm sorry for the pronunciation, but first up I switched it on and there was 4 riders up the road as you can see with about a 6-minute gap. And just here we can see an enormous penis. There we go, lovely, 10 out of 10 for the effort. As can be seen here, Dimension Data is the only team really controlling the pace at this point with 63 kilometers to go. And that means that the breakaway gets even bigger gap. You can see the back of the peloton, not much of any splitting really. They're controlling the pace, they're not pushing it too hard at the moment. Back up to the breakaway with 59 to go, they've increased their gap to about 6 minutes now. As we could see, some very passionate fans on the side there, getting pretty excited about that. Really, the peloton wasn't giving any kind of chase, and they were just letting the breakaway get away, basically. Just here, we can see number 167, Henderson, handing out pushes left, right, and center. I just thought that was a lovely gesture by him. And back to the front of the peloton with 56 to go, and the break still has about 6 minutes ahead. And just here we see one of the riders impersonating a praying mantis with his look 795. He was out in the break there. With about 52 kilometers to go, everyone unanimously decided to start throwing water bottles. There we can see some of the Tinkoff riders just belting them across the road. And just here, if we look, when we pan to the left, we could see poor old Sagan trying to convince Dimension Data to chase down the breakaway, since his team is all working for Contador. So he has to just try and encourage the other teams to chase down the break, because they're not, his team aren't really interested in doing anything like that. He was actually very convincing in the end. Everyone tried to chase them down. He managed to get a couple more teams up the front. Yeah, it was very well done by him considering the circumstances. With 42 kilometers to go, there's absolute madness at the roundabouts. Everyone trying to dodge around the traffic islands, but they end up being a lot bigger than a lot of them thought they would be. And here we see more madness. Yeah, I just don't understand why they decided to go through here, honestly. Yeah, no, that's just really stupid. You can't send a whole peloton of about 100 riders through there. Not gonna end very well, but they eventually all got through. They just all slowed down a lot. If you could just see Rider 135 over on the right there, he was involved in the crash on stage 1, and when he crashed, he could see the bone in his leg, and he decided to keep riding. He's riding in today's stage. The rider going past him from Katusha was also involved in that crash. I believe he actually finished his stage. But yeah, credit to him for continuing to ride, even though he has such a bad injury. Here we can see the peloton finally getting their act together, with several teams actually coming to the front to actually chase down the break, but it might be too little too late. With 38 kilometers to go, and the break still has almost 5 minutes. And yeah, basically they've left it all too late. We can see BMSD, Astana, Movistar, and so Dimension Data, and I am just there. And we're about to pan to the Oracle Green Edge kit. Well, they're not called Oracle Green Edge anymore. They're called Oracle Bike Exchange. I don't really agree with the choices that they've made for their kit. It's quite awful looking. Here we can see the breakaway again. They're up the road. They haven't started to pen yet. There we go. Look at that. That's Oracle Bike Exchange right there. Yeah, no, I don't like that kit at all. Those green helmets and the green handlebar tape, that's just, it doesn't really work, eh? With just on 30 kilometers to go, it can be seen that some of the riders are beginning to struggle, with the peloton finally actually picking up the pace. Here we can see that the peloton is being strung out along the road. The gap has decreased to about 340. As we can see, a lot of the teams are contributing now, realizing that it's now or never, else they're not going to catch this group in front. As we slowly zoom in, you can see this massive setup. I've always admired the setups that the farmers do, but this one is just huge. You can even see there's at least 50 people just there doing the little setup there with the yellow and red. And then there's someone making the eye wink. That's just a massive effort for about 30 seconds on TV. That's just huge and very, very impressive. We're about to see another one. This area is famous for its cheese and their milk, apparently. And here we go, there's another one. The cow is actually pedaling the bike. Yeah, that's a lot of effort just for like 5 seconds on TV. Well done to all those guys. Righto, back to the racing. Geraint Thomas from Team Sky ends up with a front puncher. He isn't really panicking too much. He's done this before. He knows what to do. He gets back on and he's off again. He's gonna just chase down the group of cars and he'll sit in behind and leapfrog all the way along until he's back on the front again. With about 28 kilometers to go, all the major teams are coming to the front. Here we can see Astana, BMC, Dimension Data, and then Tinkoff just behind BMC there. So they've all really started to realize that this is the time to start really turning up the pace. They don't know whether they're gonna even catch the group in front, but they really need to chase them down. And it looks like just there that Tinkoff Saxo are running the new Dura Ace. It looks like so anyway. It was only released just before the tour, I believe. But yeah, it looks like they're running it because of the shape of their levers. At about 25 to go, we begin to see the cracks in the peloton. In the breakaway. After they've hit a steep incline, with one of the Boer Argon riders dropping off the back, and he doesn't manage to get it back on. There's about 3 minutes 30 to the break now, so the breakaway is starting to really turn it up a bit now, and rider 134 drops off the back as they begin to turn up the pace. In the bottom left there, you can see the speed difference between the peloton and the breakaway. The speed difference varies majorly. At one point it gets to, for the break, it's 35 kilometers per hour, and the peloton is at 70 kilometers per hour. So they're catching them very quickly now. As you can see, it's beginning to increase very quickly for the peloton there. Peloton is on the bottom, break is on the top, 70 kilometers per hour there. So yeah, peloton's really turning it up now, really trying to catch them. The skinny roads coming in towards the finish are really helping the breakaway maintain that 3-minute gap because it's a bit more difficult for the peloton to get through there. So the breakaway sustains about 3 minutes. As we can see, some more fans coming out in force. Yeah, as you can see, the roads are pretty skinny there. 20 kilometers to go. Break still has 3 minutes. There they go, under the 20 kilometers to go. Better. At 16 kilometers to go, the peloton becomes very concerned with the break that's up the road. They still have about 3 minutes, and there's only 15 k's left. So as you can see, just behind the main group there, the peloton has really begun to split, and the group, there you can see riders going off the back there very quickly. It's incredibly spread out now, and there's only 15 k's to go, so it's getting very intense now. At 14.7 to go, the leaders begin to go over some wetter roads, which was a talking point at the beginning of the race. Bit of an issue with the recording there, sorry about that. But yeah, they're going over some wetter roads. They're not as wet as they thought they were going to be. They're still running normal tyre pressures and everything, but yeah, as you can see, it's getting pretty wet there as they come back towards the coast. The main field is still in a bit of a disarray at the moment. Peloton and the lead group are about at the same speed now, so they're not really catching and they're not really increasing their gap either for the breakaway. So 14 k's to go, and they're still sitting on about 2 minutes 40. BMC is just about the only team that has any kind of organisation at the moment. Obviously they're trying to set up their main man Richie Porte or Greg Van Avermaet. As you can see at the moment, Richie Porte is sitting on the back of their lead-out train, and BMC is calling for more riders to come to the front because obviously they're going to need a bit more help to chase down the break at the moment. As can be seen here, the leaders are coming through a fairly treacherous part of the course, and it's very wet at the moment through this bit here because it's been raining all day, and these roads are very tight and skinny. All of the peloton I think got through here unscathed, but yeah, that's just very risky through there, especially the speeds they're going at the moment just to try catch the main group. Here we can see the front again, a bit more of disorganization at the moment as BMC leaves the front. Yeah, BMC just decided to pull back at that point. Sky comes around to the front a bit, but they don't have enough riders with them at the moment. The speed is still pretty high, but there isn't any kind of organization at the moment. So they're coming through the skinnier section now. They don't have much organization, and the peloton begin to ease off as they realize there isn't much chance of catching the group ahead. Well, that's what they believed at this point, because there's 2 minutes 30 to the group up the road and 11.6 kilometers to go. So it didn't look very likely for the peloton to catch the lead group at this point. Stuyven from Trek Segafredo looks like the best contender at this point, considering he is the most experienced and he basically just looks the strongest. The other two riders, one in the polka dot jersey and one from one of the smaller teams from France that have been invited to do this, they don't look as experienced. They don't look like they are really wanting to push it at this point. They're just trying to just stay in there at the moment. As you can see, the peloton is still staking their way through this roundabout section that I was talking about before. And here we're going to see some bidon bombs going across the road in a second. There we go. Here we go. I believe a couple there's one just there. Yep, that's all. That's all the bidon bombs for now. The peloton continues to chase down the main group, with Sky doing a majority of the work. Lotus Idel is coming to the front a bit as well. And Tinkoff Saxo is taking a bit of interest now. They might actually be trying to support Sagan at the moment. There isn't much chance of them catching the main group at this point. A lot of people were believing that they didn't have much of a chance. But as you can see, Team Sky is just trying to really push the pace. And everyone else is just trying to keep up at the moment. No one's really wanting to contribute their men at this point, saving them for. The peloton reaches one of the climbs that are just before the end, and there is a lot of explosions. And Stuyven is sitting pretty at the moment. The speed decreases to about 13 kilometers per hour. And as you can see here, Stuyven is just waiting. He's looks the strongest, with most of the other riders not looking too great. We've switched back to the peloton for a second, and we're going to switch back to the main group. They go under 10 kilometers to go. They've still got quite a way to go. Stuyven is at the back. He's waiting. He's waiting for the best opportunity to launch an attack. He's waiting behind. He's planned this very well. He's waiting for them to look around, and there he goes. A very well-timed attack by Stuyven, and he's gone off the front, and there isn't much chance. Yeah, no, that would be really hard to follow. That was a really good move. He timed that just before the major incline and just before the top of the hill. There isn't much chance of those guys catching him as he goes off the front and settles into time trial mode. There is absolute carnage at the back of the field. Lots and lots of people exploding as they reach this climb. The kilometers before this climb really taking their toll on most of the riders. But that FDJ rider, the AG2R rider, he doesn't seem to be struggling at all. Either way, the peloton is rapidly catching the breakaway now. There's about 1 minute 30, and here we see Stuyven, and that is very close to the spectators there. I'm not sure why they didn't have barriers there, because there definitely should be barriers, and they should definitely be further back than that one. That was just very scary, that one there. With 6.6 to go, BMC are desperately trying to set up their man Richie Porte. But at this point, it looks like they actually might have a chance at the moment because the gap is dramatically decreasing because the breakaway has absolutely split itself up. Here we can see Stiven off the front, and he's about to go into a very nice aero tuck. He's absolutely on the limiter at the moment. There we go. He's just desperately trying to increase that gap before that final climb up to the finish line there. And here we could see poor old Richie Porte continuing his bad luck in tours, and the mechanic is absolutely useless. This is actually one of the slowest rear wheel changes I've ever seen. But Stiven's still off the front. There's about to be a massive pinch of the final climb. He's about to make a left-hand turn, I believe, to the final climb. He has a bit of a gap at the moment, but that is about to dramatically increase as he hits this climb. He goes onto one of the skiddier roads. He has about 2 kilometers to go now until the climb begins. As can be seen here, BMC have stopped racing at the front since Richie Porte has had a puncture, so obviously they're not just going to waste their men off the front. Here we can see Stiven. He's about a kilometer away from beginning the climb. There's a bit of an incline at the moment. He's about 3 kilometers from the finish, and the peloton is rapidly gaining on him. And as you can see here, these roads are very skiddy, so if it was as wet as they thought it was going to be at the beginning of this race, there would have been massive disasters coming through here. The peloton begins to climb slightly. This is Stiven off the front still. He has still about 1 minute and 9 seconds or so. Jasper Stiven. Here we go. The peloton has begun their climb. Have a bit of an issue with the recording at the moment, so again, here we can see they're beginning to catch some of the riders that were in the break earlier on. The peloton is really turning it up now. They're obviously going a lot faster than Stiven, who is up the road, so they're catching him very quickly. It's now gone down to 1 minute and 4 seconds, so they're catching him very, very quickly at the moment. Stiven is still off the front, and here we can see one of the Tinkoff Saxo riders is leading out. He's gone off the front, in fact. He's gone off the front, and one of the NL Jumbo, I believe, riders has come with it on. Oh no, I'm sorry, that's Cannondale Garmin. One of the Cannondale Garmin riders have followed him. The gap is absolutely tumbling down. It says there's 56 seconds to the yellow jersey group. But obviously Cavendish isn't in this group anymore. He's dropped off the back because of his lack of climbing skills. Well, not really. It's just that this is a very, very fast finish now coming up to this final climb. Stiven is really pushing now. He's only got about 30 seconds to the gap, to the group, and he's starting to begin the climb now. Here we can see some of the breakaway being picked up by the group, and it is Paul Voss that is attacked off the front, with some of the Orca Green Edge riders are trying to catch him behind. This is the decisive moment. Whoever starts to push now will really get in there now. They really have to start pushing now with only 1.9 to go. Mark Cavendish in the yellow jersey, that's his dream run in the yellow jersey over. He knew that he wasn't going to be able to go well in this stage anyway, so it's alright for him. I think he was just happy to get in that yellow jersey. He was very emotional on that stage. But the peloton begins to finally catch the break. Voss is still off the front, and he's made the 2 kilometers to go better. They go around the roundabout at the moment. And if you can see on the front there is a Tinkoff rider leading out Peter Sagan. So Tinkoff are actually finally working for Peter Sagan. Here we can see Richie Porte still off the back with his horrible bad luck. And one of the breakaway riders has even gone past Mark Cavendish. That graphic there on the bottom that is wrong. Here we can see the Tinkoff Saxo teammate of Peter Sagan leading him out. He is absolutely destroying this final climb. Here we can see Stiven, and just around the corner there behind him, he'll be able to see that yellow motorbike, which is leading the peloton around this final climb. 1.4 to go. It's not 59 seconds to the peloton though. It's Stuyven off the front still. Stuyven might be caught now. The Tinkoff Saxo is really trying to push the pace at the moment. All the big contenders in there. You can see now Quintana, and we can see Cavendish is off the front, and then Porte is even behind Cavendish. There is Porte with one of his teammates coming back to help him. Obviously, BMC isn't going to be in contention for the stage win. Stuyven is looking behind. He has 1 kilometer to go. It might be heartbreak for Stuyven. There he goes. He gets the KOM. 1.2 to go. The camera is very shaky at the moment. They're pulling out the motorbikes from in between, and the peloton is right there. Tinkoff Saxo is there with Sagan right behind him. And he's going to be caught. He is going to be caught. There's absolute heartbreak for Jasper Stuyven as he rounds the left-hand bend, and it's now down to the sprint. Who's going to jockey? There's 1 kilometer to go. Sagan is placed in second with multiple contenders right behind him. Stuyven is still trying to push. He's still trying to just get there. Now, if you watch carefully, Stuyven continues to push right up until the point where the group comes past him, because he knows how to do this. He's an experienced rider. He tries to push all the way to the end, but that group is rapidly approaching. Many riders slipping out on the cement right there, if you watch that bit carefully. And there is Froome, I believe. Sagan is still behind his teammate. His teammate has done an awesome job leading him out. This is probably the lead out of the century, honestly. Quintana has dropped off a bit now. The Tinkoff rider is still on the front, still leading Sagan. Everyone is lining up behind Sagan. We have a couple of BMC guys in there. We have Froome. And now Sagan is waiting. He's watching. He's watching the other riders, going to see what they do. He begins to lead out. He's not going to make the same mistake that he did on stage 1 and make a really, really early attack. And here we see one of the Addicts Quickstep riders attack. Sagan grabs the wheel of that rider. There's a couple of Orca Green Edge riders trying to get in there, but Sagan has gone around. Sagan has gone around, and he is going to take out the win and the yellow jersey. There's no celebration because he didn't think he'd actually won that stage. Here we see a couple more of the riders crossing the line, some of the major contenders. That was very, very well timed by Sagan. His teammate did an absolutely amazing lead out for him to be able to get in that position where he could absolutely blitz the field. Well done, Sagan, and that was very, very well timed by him. So, that was a very dramatic race. It ended well for Sagan, him now in the yellow jersey. As you can see, some more riders crossing the line. I didn't expect that stage to be as dramatic as it was. I didn't expect it to be so incredibly fast up that final climb, but it was. Congratulations to Sagan. Here we can see the classification for that stage. Julia Alaphilippe from Addicts Quickstep was right behind Valverde, Martin, Matthews, Kelderman, Galopin, Van Avermaet, Mullerman, and Froome. So that was a very good stage, I reckon. It was planned out very well. The only issue probably with that one was, as we see some of the SBS commentators, I think the only big issue with that one was how tight some of the stage was. But other than that, it was really well done. Here we can see the overall classification: Sagan, then Alaphilippe, then Valverde. So obviously, because it's very early on in the race, the overall, there isn't much of a difference yet, except for Porte, who lost 1 minute and 45. So that's all for today. I'm the Cyclist Vlogger, and I'll see you later.